Hey, what's up YouTube? It's ICU, and today, following yesterday's September media event where they unveiled not only the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, but also the new AirPods and Apple Watch Series 2, they actually released iOS 10 GM, or Golden Master, to registered developers, and that's essentially the finalized version of iOS 10 intended for public release. Now today, they've actually released iOS 10 GM for public beta testers as well, so we're going to talk about that release, but also something interesting in the realm of jailbreaking related to iOS 10 GM and a secret that the finalized version of the firmware actually holds. So let's go ahead and get straight into this. Of course, down below in the description, there will be a table of contents with kind of some general categories in this video that will allow you to skip ahead if, for instance, you're only interested in learning how to install iOS 10 GM right now ahead of its official September 13th release date. Also, be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up and share it around, again, for the information that's discussed, as well as a brand new iPhone 7 giveaway. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to give away an iPhone 7. I have kind of a surprise for you guys that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. That way you will be notified when I start talking about it. All right, so iOS 10 GM. See, the funny thing is that it's not really iOS 10.0. Instead, it's 10.0.1. That's right. Instead of releasing iOS 10.0 GM, Apple decided to go ahead and skip that and release 10.0.1 GM yesterday. And again, GM stands for Golden Master, the public ready version. So what that means is that iOS 10.0 will never see the light of day, at least as far as the public's concerned, but of course iOS 10.0.1 will. Now that's definitely interesting to say the least, and it's almost certainly because Apple wants to avoid a day one patch for the upcoming iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. Presumably 10.0.1 bakes in integration for the new home button, the solid state home button, so to speak, of the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus that essentially doesn't physically press in, but instead uses a Taptic engine to emulate actual presses. That's great and all, but what else can we expect from the GMC besides next generation iPhone support? Well, the Health app now has working videos for each of the 4 categories, including activity, mindfulness, nutrition, and sleep. Previously, there were just images as placeholders for those sections. And again, we have the version number of 10.0.1 instead of 10.0. That's basically it. See, iOS 10 went through 8 developer seeds, and through those seeds, Apple not only introduced a number of new small features on top of what they announced at June's WWDC, or Worldwide Developers Conference, but they also corrected a number of issues present in the firmware before it was ready for the public. And now, of course, we hope that it is with iOS 10.0.1, and we hope that Apple has squashed all of the bugs. So there are definitely some behind the scenes things going on with iOS 10.0.1 that, of course, affect performance as well as stability and probably even battery life to a slight degree, especially on those older devices. I have an iPod Touch 6th Gen here on iOS 10.0.1, and just to show you guys that it is in fact 10.0.1, and again, not 10.0, let's go ahead and launch up the Settings app, General, and then inside of About, and you will notice that down below at the bottom for the version, it does show that we are on 10.0.1, and of course that is the latest build number that corresponds to the iOS 10 GM seed right there. Now let's quickly switch gears to focus on jailbreaking, at least for a brief second. Now I have discussed a number of new jailbreak details in my recent video on the topic. Again, iOS 10 jailbreak expectations. I definitely recommend watching through it. I will have it linked on your screens now via the cards, as well as down below in the description. Again, definitely check it out. But in that video, I delve into when we can most likely expect an iOS 10 jailbreak based on past releases. Again, the 2 reference points that we actually use in this video are both from Pangu, who really seem to be the main developers on the scene right now. We can't really count on Taiji moving forward, even though the last thing we heard from them is that they're still interested in releasing new jailbreaks, and of course their interests haven't faded. Again, Pangu is really the main group on the scene right now. They're absolutely killing it with releasing new jailbreaks, and of course for the past 2 years they have released new jailbreak utilities about 1 month following the initial release of the next major firmware. So again, about a month from iOS 8's release and a month from iOS 9's release, new jailbreak utilities were dropped. I go over the specific dates as well as everything in this video. Again, watch through it. We can most likely expect that exact same thing to happen this time around, especially with iOS 10.0.1 dropping this early and with them having direct access to the finalized production build of 10.0.1 already. Again, we've skipped iOS 10.0 and we're now into 10.0.1, and that's absolutely great news from a jailbreak development standpoint. Again, it means that they do have more time with the firmware before it goes into official official public circulation on the 13th. So this time around, we can expect a brand new iOS 10 jailbreak, hopefully by the end of October. Again, additional details will unfold as we start to move forward kind of toward that date, and I will keep you guys completely updated. Be sure to click the subscribe button below next to my channel name if you have yet to. That way you will be fully informed, and I'm also planning on talking about a couple of other new things actually on iOS 10's official release date, so be sure to stay tuned. And now let's quickly talk about how to install the iOS 10 GM seed. Again, as I mentioned, the public build was released today, so you don't actually need to download the developer beta profile, but I will have a link down below in the description also talking about that. So we're here at beta.apple.com. If you have yet to update to iOS 10 and you're not jailbroken and you want to update, then again, navigate to beta.apple.com. If you are jailbroken and you don't mind losing your jailbreak, you'll have to restore inside of iTunes first to get rid of Cydia, and that's the only way that you can update to iOS 10 really. So beta.apple.com, and then you're going to tap on this blue button right here where it says sign up. After you tap on that, you're just going to log in with the exact same Apple ID you use to download things through the App Store, and then you're going to go to beta.apple.com/profile and log in again with that same Apple ID. You may be required to agree to some terms. Just tap on the button to do so, and then it's possible you'll have to re-navigate to beta.apple.com/profile, but once you do, you just need to install the only profile that's listed there and reboot your device. It will automatically prompt you to do so. After that's done, you just need to unlock it. Of course, go inside of settings, followed by general, and then software update, and you should see an available update for iOS 10. However, this of course is 10.0.1, and it does go over all of the new features found in iOS 10. And by the way, if you were on an earlier iteration of iOS 10, whether it was a beta seed or a public beta release, these notes will remain exactly the same, and it just looks like iOS 10, but in reality, again, the version number is 10.0.1. And then as long as you have a 50% charge and or your device is plugged in, you will be able to tap on the button that says install now. And of course, once your device boots back up, you will be on iOS 10. Now, if you want to downgrade, the tutorial to do so is extremely simple and straightforward. I will have that linked down below in the description. That really concludes everything I want to talk about in today's video. Again, just going over iOS 10.0.1 GM, what we can expect from jailbreaking, as well as how to upgrade to the firmware. And if you guys want to be updated more often, again, as I said previously, click the subscribe button and then also follow me on social. And until next time, this is ICU signing out. Join the iCrack Your iDevice community on Patreon to help out the channel and to be featured in videos similar to these top contributors. Click the link on your screens now if you're on desktop, or check below.